I don't have an intro for this one. Hello friends and enemies, my name is Toxy and welcome back to Card Game Review. And today we're going to be talking about a card game that I got into a little bit more recently. It is yet again another anime card game, Future Card Buddyfight. And boy do I like this one. Buddyfight plays kind of like Flesh and Blood or Magic's Commander format. It follows that formula of you have a specific creature out that you are trying to get to. I was introduced to this card game by a friend that I made from another friend who said, "Hey, my friend likes card games too, you should talk to her." And then she said, "Have you ever heard of Buddyfight?" And I said, "Yes, but I've never played it." And then I went crazy and got as much of it as I could. Honestly, I can't really give this card game much of an intro, aside from the fact that I really like it, and it's been discontinued since 2019. So let's go ahead and take a look at the cards, shall we? Playing Buddyfight, you're going to have a deck of at least 50 cards, and a lot of these cards are going to be similar in nature, but let's take a look at them. Spell cards, item cards, and impact cards are going to be cards that work functionally similar to each other. They all have a text box, a call cost. The most unique out of these is item cards, which equipped directly to you, quote unquote, you, and you become part of the fight and you can use the item to your advantage. Next up, we've got your monster cards. These are going to make up a good portion of your deck. Your buddy is going to be a monster card. Up in the top left-hand corner of the card is your monster's size. You can only have a total size of 3 out of the monsters on your entire field. So using your monsters is going to take a little bit of strategizing. On the left-hand side of monsters, you'll see some blue numbers and some red numbers. The blue numbers are your monster's defense, and your red numbers are your monster's power. These numbers are used when 2 monsters fight each other. That white number in the middle is called your monster's critical. This number is the damage that will be dealt to your life if a monster's attack gets through to you. For all of these main deck cards, there will be a world classification. For monsters, this is going to be down in the bottom left-hand corner, and for spells, items, and impacts, this is going to be right above the text box. Bringing me to our next point, the flag cards, the final part of your deck. Your flag card will determine what world your deck runs in, and only monsters and spells of that world can be used in your deck. And there we go. The cards are pretty easy to understand, not a lot on them that you have to really pay attention to all that much. But let's go ahead and take a look at how the game works and see you on the other side. Alright, so this is our Buddyfight playmat, and let's go ahead and set up our field. We start the game off with our flag in our flag zone face down, and our buddy in our buddy zone face down. Then, we draw the top 6 cards of our deck. Next, we're going to go ahead and take the top 2 cards of our deck and place them into our gauge zone over on the left-hand side. Once we have our board set up like this, we're going to determine with our opponent who goes first, and then each player will flip over their flag card and their buddy card. Each player will start with 10 life, and once a player runs down to 0, that player loses. Then, even if we're the first turn player, we're going to go ahead and draw a card from our deck into our hand. We're then going to take whatever card we don't need from our hand and charge it into our gauge and then draw another card. After that, we enter our main phase. During our main phase, we can cast spells, we can play monsters, or we can equip an item to our flag. Some cards can't just be called onto the field, they have a call cost. This cost is going to tell us what we need to do in order to play this card. Champion Wrestler Asmodai has the call cost of paying 2 gauge. In order to pay gauge, we're going to take the amount that we need to pay from our gauge, which is 2, and put them into our drop zone. If a monster ever had a call cost to put a card into its soul, we take a card and put it behind the monster like this. This way, it has a card in its soul. Next, we can choose to attack our opponent. If we are going first, we can only attack once. When attacking an opponent, the critical number, the white number in the middle, will be dealt to your opponent's life. When we attack, we turn our creature to the side, resting it. If you attack and the opponent has a monster in the same zone as your monster, the two monsters do battle, as this monster will block your attack. If we have multiple monsters on the field, we can declare their attacks one at a time, meaning that once this attack goes through, we can attack with this one. If we have an item equipped to our flag and we have a monster in our center, we cannot attack with our item. If we have an item and two monsters on either side, each monster can attack and then we can attack with our item. In order to use your buddy, you have to take the buddy card that you've drawn into your hand and rest it onto the field. Then take your buddy card and put it out onto the field somewhere. When you call in your buddy, you gain 1 life from Buddy Gift, and you can only buddy call once per game. During the end phase of your turn, if you have an impact card in your hand and are able to play it, you can. And finally, at the start of our next turn, if we've got any exhausted monsters, we can go ahead and put them right back up, ready to fight. And there we have it, the basics of Buddy Fight. Deceptively simple, like some of these card games are. I've said it before, but it's very easy to, when you're looking at a card game that you've never played before, overcomplicate it in your head and try and think that there's more to the game that you're not seeing, when in reality there really isn't. However, there is a more in-depth tutorial on the Buddy Fight YouTube channel that I will link down below just in case people want to see like a longer version and a real version of a Buddy Fight battle. That being said, let's move on to how I feel about the card game and how I would review it. First, let's go ahead and talk about accessibility. As I said before, Buddy Fight was discontinued in 2019. That being said, it's kind of hard to get your hands on products for a reasonable price. Generally, from what I've seen, decks can range from as low as $20 to as high as $100. And that's a little bit crazy just for a deck. If you can score something fairly cheap on a website like TCG Player or eBay, or as much as I don't want to say it, maybe even Amazon, that's good. If you can grab it for MSRP, I definitely would say try. But given my experience, it's been kind of hard to grab a deck for lower than $50. I was able to get this deck here for about $20, and that's just because somebody on eBay was selling it for a pretty cheap price. That's honestly how I've gotten all of my Buddy Fight decks, is they just happen to be sold for a really cheap price. Just for example, this is a sealed Lost World deck. This deck is almost impossible to find, and if you can find it, it's going to be impossible to find for under $100. I was able to get this for about 10. None of this is to brag. I'm mainly saying this to show how amazing it can be when you can find a Buddy Fight product for fairly cheap, because it is hard. That being said, TCG Player does have an entire category of Buddy Fight singles. I haven't really gotten to look through them yet because I haven't really picked out singles for Buddy Fight yet, but if you'd like to peruse them, I would go ahead and do so if you were interested in this game. Now, if you don't have the money to buy the physical card game, there's not much in the way of content online to play. You can play Buddy Fight on Tabletop Simulator, there is a mod for it, but Tabletop Simulator itself is $20. If you can afford just a $20 game just to play a card game, I would absolutely recommend it. There's other card games that you can also play on Tabletop Simulator that absolutely make it worth it, in my opinion. But if you'd like, you can also join Buddy Fight communities online. Buddy Fight does have a very niche following, especially on the Buddyfight Reddit or on Facebook groups. So I would definitely recommend, if you're trying to get into Buddyfight and you want to see if maybe somebody can help you out, get something for really cheap, definitely try out some of those groups. Or, you know, just go check it out just to see how people feel about the game, or if you just want to ask advice about the game, ask literally anything about any of the cards, I would definitely recommend some of these groups. Overall, I think Buddyfight is really fun. It's just kind of hard to get your actual hands on. You can definitely try the Tabletop Simulator mod, but again, sometimes it's just a little hard to get that bit of money that you need to get games like that. So overall, taking all of these things into account, I would rate Buddyfight about a 7 out of 10. I want to rate it higher, it's just that the price is getting me to rate it a little bit lower. I do believe if you're one of those people that likes to watch the card game anime, I believe that they have some anime clips on the YouTube channel. I'll just go ahead and link the YouTube channel down below just so anybody can take a look at what's going on over there. That being said, we can go ahead and lower the flag on another card game review. I tried to make this one a little bit more streamlined just so it's a little bit easier to understand, not so much talking. So go ahead and tell me how you felt in the comments if you would like to. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly did. I've been wanting to talk about this card game for months, but I've been putting it off for one reason or another. But thank you for watching, and until next time, drink your water.